think the current situation really demonstrates the dishonesty that we see typically in the anti liberal media, otherwise known as conservative media. I'm not a fan of Joe Biden. Um, I think he's corrupt. I think he's weak. I think he's well past retirement, just like Donald Trump. It shows much more because of his lack of showmanship, for sure. But I still think there's a lot more to it than his lack of um, performance skill, shall we say. I do recognize the good things that he's done and those bullet points that certain progressives like to talk about in terms of what he's done, but we need a lot more than what he's delivered, for sure. He could have done much more than he did, for sure. He chose not to do more than he did, for sure. And I don't believe in getting crumbs for a very long time and then somebody gives us a little bit more than crumbs and we're supposed to celebrate. That's, yeah, it's not it. That being said, my critiques of Joe Biden are good faith critiques of Joe Biden. But I'm going to demonstrate how right wing media or anti liberal media, their critiques of him are just nonsensical pro GOP, free, negative ads against the GOP's opponents, the Democrats. That's what they do. They're basically the marketing team for the GOP. And I'm going to demonstrate this. So they like to talk about how Joe Biden is weak. He's weak. And they brag about how Trump was, he didn't bring us into any new wars and all this kind of stuff. And the minute that Joe Biden is in charge, all of a sudden, all these conflicts and this kind of stuff. Yet, correct me if I'm wrong, comment below, I don't see a lot of them calling Joe Biden out for his current weakness. There's currently a good faith reason to call out Joe Biden on his weakness. And the people who do nothing else other than calling out for being weak don't seem that interested. What am I talking about? Joe Biden right now is being very weak against Israel, and by doing so is pushing us dangerously towards being involved in a very big war that could last a very long time. These are exactly the kind of points that anti-liberal media likes to talk about, but for some reason in this case, I don't see a lot of motivation to call out Joe Biden for his weakness against Israel. I wonder why that is. And what am I talking about? We have a lot of leverage and power over Israel. Joe Biden from the beginning could have been talking to Israel in terms of, let's I hate to use that phrase, you have a right to defend yourself, but seeing exactly where Israel was headed, the kind of rhetoric they were putting out there, Joe Biden should have been strong in condemning it and respecting Israel's right to defend itself, but also making it very clear that we do not support them sort of going too far and over the top. And I realize the sensitive nature of telling another country what is the appropriate way for them to respond to them being attacked, right? But that's why we call it strength, right? It's not something that's easy to do, and it requires somebody that has strength. The strength to look at a long ally, that we've had an ally with Israel for a long time, the strength to speak to them sternly, knowing, the potential political consequence. You have a lot of pro-Israel people in this country, right? So it would take a strong leader to be able to stand up to Israel, exert his power and authority as the United States, a major ally of Israel. Israel cannot afford to ignore America, right? As a strong leader, he could have told them, hey guys, let's not make this thing get out of control, right? Something, anything. But instead, Israel was given a blank check by our no backbone Joe Biden. What are the potential consequences of this? The exact same thing that anti-liberal media likes to talk about, right? Joe Biden being silent and hesitant to call out Israel emboldens them to be, over the top with their response, which invites the spread of this conflict to where Iran might get involved, which therefore drags the United States into a war, defending their allies in Israel, right? And this also invites potential terrorist attacks, right? from other neighboring nations. Look at the level of escalation and risk that Joe Biden is putting this country in. How many potential hundreds or thousands of American lives could be lost fighting in a war, all because Joe Biden didn't have the strength to speak out against Israel, right? Communicating to them that, you know, you have a right to respond, but within your response, you need to follow international law, right? Committing of war crimes will not be accepted, right? Ally or no ally, we will not stand for it. You are to conduct yourselves with professionalism, right? Why is right-wing media not going after Joe Biden for being weak? That's what they love to do. So why in this situation is him being weak in a way that is not trivial, could lead to us being dragged into a war? And who knows how long it might last? Look at what happened in Afghanistan, who again, right-wing loves to talk about. And here we are at the potential genesis of another Afghanistan. And the people who love to call out Joe Biden, they certainly are. But I don't see a lot of focus on him being weak in standing against Israel going too far. You can have an ally and respect that ally. At the same point, you can have standards and principles and be like, listen, we're your ally, but we're not going to sit down idly by and watch you violate international law. As an ally of the United States of America, right? Your conduct affects us on the international stage. We cannot be allies with people who are conducting war crimes, right? That's a problem. And by Joe Biden being strong in that sense, that would definitely cause Israel to think about their actions and perhaps tone it down a bit, which would prevent Iran from getting involved and other nations from getting involved in potential terrorist attacks that might be caused as a result of what's happening right now. So is the mission to call out Joe Biden for his actual weakness, or is the actual mission of right-wing media to prop up a corrupt GOP establishment party, which is the other wing of the Democratic Party, who both ultimately serve the same masters? The corporations, the donors. Yes, the same donors who donate to both parties. Interesting how that works. This is the Debate Me channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate from people who love Joe Biden, but tell me how I'm wrong. You know what to do. I would say TGIM, but that would be stupid.